Part 144. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1431. It's so powerful. Zuyun almost fell down, but fortunately he reacted very quickly and escaped with a teleport. But some snake demons still fell into it, but they were able to climb up, and their skin was rough and fleshy, so they didn't suffer any injuries. Zuyun appeared, and after finding that there was no damage, he looked in the direction of the 9Ju formation. The ground is still shaking and the cracks are getting bigger. His eyes were solemn. The 9 spirit beads had already touched Ludong City, and he didn't know whether they could kill him directly. But in the Mahayana stage, his methods are already extraordinary. It cannot be ruled out that he has his soul leaving his body and escaping at the cost of destroying his physical body. Golden light flashed between his eyebrows, and Zuyun held the immortal soul hammer in his hand. At the same time, he summoned Fen Tianyan. If you see the soul of Ludong City, burn it directly. Zuyun ordered. Yes, master. Fen Tianyan was almost injured by 2 void refining stagers before. When Zuyun asked him to prepare, he knew that his target would be the leader of the thieves. As the shaking on the ground became stronger and stronger, Zuyun's eyes became more solemn. The previous shock showed that the 9 spirit beads had been attached to Ludong City. I believe it won't be long before the spiritual power in the spirit beads will be completely intertwined. Finally, after waiting for who knows how long, there was another violent explosion in the array. Zuyun looked overjoyed. It's done. I saw that the walls of the 9Ju formation exploded, and 9 kinds of mixed spiritual powers suddenly scattered towards the outside. Zuyun's expression changed, and he quickly dodged away and landed between the snake head pillars. At the same time, his hands moved rapidly, and dozens of earthen wall talismans were drawn in a matter of seconds. Boom! 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 The chaotic flow of spiritual energy impacted the earth walls one after another. The huge power also shattered several in an instant. Fortunately, Zuyun painted the earthen wall very quickly, and he was able to protect Jogun and the Snake Demon King behind the snake head pillar, as well as the snake demons gathered here. This is several times more powerful than the 9 revolutions and 9 yang formation laid out by the 9 fire spirit beads. Zuyun secretly thought in his heart, but his hands kept moving. Although this turbulent flow of spiritual power is terrifying, the advantage is that Zuyun reacts very quickly and is not in danger. The impact of this turbulent current lasted for about an hour. What was originally a forest has turned into a wasteland under the impact of the turbulent current. Countless trees turned into sawdust, flying in the air and then falling to the ground, burying several people and the snake demon underneath. Zuyun carefully spread his soul and rushed toward the formation. Suddenly, his expression changed. Ludong City. Not dead. But then, he breathed a sigh of relief. Ludong City is not dead, but it is dying. With his eyes focused, Zuyun's figure suddenly appeared in the sky above Ludong City. I saw Luo Dongcheng lying on the ground, covered in blood, and half of the immortal root on his forehead had been broken off. Like Shanpeng, who was seriously injured in the Kunlun Gorge. But Zuyun didn't dare to neglect him. After all, Ludong City could still control spiritual power, so there was no guarantee that he would struggle to the death. Zuyun is so strong. Luo Dongcheng looked at Zuyun directly above him and uttered a sentence with difficulty. After finishing speaking, he spit out a bloody arrow. Luo Dongcheng, you brought all this on yourself. Hearing Zuyun's cold reply, a strange color flashed in Luo Dongcheng's eyes, but then his eyes became distracted. When you embark on the path to immortality, you have no control over everything. As a spiritual monk, I want to fight for opportunities and ascend. Is there anything wrong with me? Zuyun was stunned and sneered. It's right to cultivate immortality, but it's wrong for you to use other people's lives to pave your way to immortality. He also killed people. But he never kills people with the thought of cultivating immortality. He kills people mostly because someone blocks his path to immortality. But Luo Dongcheng couldn't help but want to kill him. Of course, it was because Luo Dongcheng didn't know Zhu Yun's identity at that time. If he knew, all this would be different. A joke, Luo Dongcheng said with disdain, "You Zhu Yun, haven't you ever killed anyone?" "I have never killed anyone for no reason, unless someone has done all the evil." Zhu Yun's tone was firm. "Yes, really." Luo Dongchen's gaze passed over Zhu Yun and saw the duckweed in the sky behind him, seemingly ignoring Zhu Yun's words. Of course, Zhu Yun squinted his eyes and said, "The road to immortality is bumpy, so I kept my true intention. But you, I must have spiritual roots and immortal roots, and you must have done a lot absolutely nothing. We have different paths and we don't want to conspire against each other. You'd better kill me." Luo Dongchen's tone was decisive. Zhu Yun raised his eyebrows and was about to take action. "That's what I meant." But as soon as he finished speaking, Luo Dongcheng suddenly said, "But, can you let my daughter go?" Zhu Yun was stunned. "You know that I have met your daughter." After that, he turned around, blocking Luo Dongchen's sight, and said, "Actually, you have known my identity for a long time, right?" It stands to reason that Luo Dongcheng did not know that he and Luo Xiaoyu knew each other, but he begged Zhu Yun for his daughter. In this way, Luo Xiaoyu. Someone must have told Luo Dongcheng about Zhu Yun. "Of course I know." Luo Dongchen's expression suddenly became relaxed again. "My daughter is innocent, so I sent her to Dian King City. I know that Dian Immortal King is the Immortal Emperor's personal immortal. In this way, come on, even if we, the Immortal Emperors, fail in our rebellion, I still have a bloodline left in Ludong City. But I didn't expect that Xiaoyu would actually get to know you." Zhu Yun said coldly, "Luo Xiaoyu wants to leave Qingping Fairy Kingdom?" "Yes, I told him that Qingping Immortal Kingdom's way of heaven is incomplete and cannot achieve enlightenment and ascend." Zhu Yun asked, "You must have found other ways and found another way? But why do you want Luo Xiaoyu to leave Qingping Fairy Kingdom with me?" "I feel sorry for her mother, so I let her go to avoid dying in Qingping Fairy Kingdom." Zhu Yun's breath suddenly stagnated, and he said in shock, "You want to use the lives of thousands of immortals in Qingping Fairy Kingdom to pave a way for you to ascend?" He finally knew what Luo Dongcheng was thinking. There are so many immortals in Qingping Immortal Kingdom. And themselves, what these immortals practice is the pseudo-immortal power that is closest to immortal power. The heavenly Dao is incomplete. If some secret method is used, perhaps the power of the immortals here can be gathered to break out of the heavenly Dao. Isn't this just evil cultivation? Zhu Yun took a breath. Unexpectedly, Luo Dongcheng turned out to be an evil cultivator. Then, some things that he didn't understand before will make sense. However, evil cultivators have many tricks, and Ludong City. Will you really admit death? Thinking of this, Zhu Yun suddenly felt cold all over. Just when he was about to take action, he didn't expect that Luo Dongchen's eyes suddenly glowed with an evil golden light. "Jajaja, Zhu Yun, you have been fooled. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1432. Zhu Yun was horrified. Earlier, the ground was shaking and cracking, the formation was shaking, and the spiritual power was surging. In order to save Zhou Gun and the Snake Demon King, Zhu Yun chose to draw a spiritual talisman, so he put away the immortal soul hammer. At this time, he had nothing in his hand. The golden light came so fast, how could he resist it? And obviously, this was Luo Dongchen's last blow. He was desperate to crush Zhu Yun's soul, and there was no way he could have any spare energy. Mahayana period, this is Mahayana period. Before, he had been attacked by the Red Cloud Fairy with soul power. Although the opponent was in the tribulation period, it was not a serious soul method, so he was controlled by the immortal soul hammer. And Luo Dongcheng was an evil cultivator. Evil ways, I am afraid it is an unreasonable method. Master, hurry. At this time, a flame suddenly attacked. It was the burning sky flame. With his sharp roar, the flame suddenly turned into a big hand and grabbed the golden light fiercely. The golden light suddenly stagnated in front of Zhu Yun's eyes, and at the same time, Luo Dongcheng screamed. This. It's not a soul method, it's Luo Dongcheng's soul. He actually wanted to rush into his purple mansion with his soul. Want to seize the body? The burning sky flame restrained Luo Dongcheng's soul, but for some reason, it didn't completely suppress it. Although Luo Dongcheng was screaming and the power of his soul was dissipating, he was struggling to break free from the palm of the flames. It was so close, if he was allowed to break free, he would either be hit by the evil method or be seized. In a flash, Zhu Yun took a step back, and when he stood still, he already held the immortal soul hammer in his hand. Die! With a roar, the immortal soul hammer drove the pseudo-immortal power around and smashed towards Luo Dongcheng. Dang! With a crisp sound, the immortal soul hammer seemed to hit the 10,000-year black iron, shaking Zhu Yun's palm numb. But Luo Dongcheng's soul also dissipated a lot at a speed visible to the naked eye. Zhu Yun was overjoyed and swung the immortal soul hammer again. Come again! Dang! 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 Like the sound of metal clashing, the sound was deafening. Zhu Yun's hand speed was extremely fast, and it was continuous. The sound was connected and spread far away. With each hammer strike, Luo Dongcheng's soul would fade a little. And his struggle gradually weakened until his soul dissipated between heaven and earth. Luo Dongcheng. Death, the Tao is gone. Zhu Yun was exhausted and collapsed to the ground. He breathed heavily, blowing the wood chips. Fenchen, you'd better come back. If these wood chips are burned, I will be buried in the sea of fire. Fenchen Yan also turned back into a flame. He was also injured a lot, from the shock brought to him by the immortal soul hammer. Although Zhu Yun's hammering was not aimed directly at Fenchen, the remaining force also affected him. Yes, master. Fenchen Yan was also exhausted, and turned into flames, drilling into Zhu Yun's forearm. The surroundings returned to silence, with only occasional heavy breathing and subtle movements made by the snake monsters. From time to time, a breeze blew, raising wood chips all over the ground and bringing noises from afar. Over there, they should also be fighting. Zhu Yun thought to himself that the 9 refining void stages were sent away by Luo Dongcheng, but his order was to confirm whether the Spirit Stone Demon Dragon had lost its mind before returning. Now that almost an hour has passed, no refining void stage has returned, and it is obvious that they have been entangled by the Spirit Stone Demon Dragon group. I don't know how many casualties there are. Zhu Yun sat up cross-legged, wanting to practice, but was afraid that the refining void stage would suddenly attack. When he was feeling uneasy, the Snake Demon King suddenly stood up from the snake head pillar. Looking carefully, he had fully recovered, which made Zhu Yun envious. If he wanted to recover quickly, he could only go into the immortal mansion, sit on the edge of the void, and absorb the chaotic power. Master, do you have any instructions? The Snake Demon King looked at Zhu Yun at the first time, and just met Zhu Yun's target. He immediately turned into a human form, flashed, appeared in front of Zhu Yun, and then bowed to the ground. You. Zhu Yun's heart moved, and he took out the dragon head pillar and said, take this pillar and go to support the Lingxi demon dragon. The Snake Demon King was stunned, and then took it, yes, master. After that, he stopped talking nonsense, turned into his original body, and jumped out like an arrow. The snake tail swept past, and sawdust flew across again. Zhu Yun thought about it, and still got up and walked to Zhou Gun. Can't you take out the elixir yet? Master, I almost did. I just tried it, but it didn't work. Zhou Gun smiled bitterly. If he could, he wouldn't have put Zhu Yun in danger just now. Luo Dongqing's dying counterattack made him very anxious, but he couldn't break through the void and take out the healing elixir stored in it even if he used up all the pseudo-immortal power in his body. It doesn't matter. It's okay to wait a little longer. Zhu Yun sighed. It seems that he still has to rely on himself to prevent sneak attacks. I want to set up the formation, but there are sawdust all over the ground. Whether it is spirit stones or spirit beads, there is no place to put them. Even if they are put down, they can't be placed steadily, which will completely affect the formation. Scratching his head, Zhu Yun saw the crack in the ground, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Zhou Gun, the situation is still unclear. Why don't we hide first? Zhou Gun looked in the direction of Zhu Yun's finger and said with a sad face, Master, this crack in the ground is bottomless. I don't know what will happen. He was exhausted, and Zhu Yun was also exhausted. If there is any danger, I am afraid that the whole army will be wiped out. Zhu Yun smiled and said, there was a snake demon that fell down and climbed back up before, so there shouldn't be any danger. After that, he stretched out his hand and called a snake demon, saying, tell them to take us down and find a platform where people can sit. The snake demon was comparable to the peak of the late Jindan period. Although it could not completely transform into a human, it could understand Zhu Yun's words, so it passed on Zhu Yun's request through animal language. After a while, these snake demons started to move, and they formed a snake net with their heads and tails connected, dragging Zhu Yun and the others, slowly going down to the crack in the ground. The further down they went, the narrower it became. The Jindan snake demon took the initiative to lead the way in front, and found a place to stay, so he ordered the group of snakes to let Zhu Yun and the others down. Okay, you guys stay here and stay. Can you hide your demonic energy? Yes. When the Jindan snake demon spoke, it spit out its snake tongue, which looked extremely weird. Zhu Yun smiled and said, thank you for your hard work. An inexplicable look flashed across the snake demon's eyes, and then he ordered the snake demons to spread on the top of Zhu Yun and the others' heads. Afterwards, several more snake demons climbed back to the crack and swept down thick wood chips with their tails. Like snow, they soon covered the area. If the wood chips were not removed, no one would have thought that Zhu Yun and Zhou Gun would hide here. I didn't expect these snake demons to be so intelligent. Zhou Gun was surprised. Zhu Yun smiled and said, demon cultivators are close to humans. They formed a beast tide before because they were affected by the demonic energy. When snake demons cultivate to the extreme, they can truly transform into human form. Xiaohuo has reached that realm, but he was in danger at the time, so he could only choose to continue cultivating in a demon body. Zhou Gun had nothing to do and needed to recover, so Zhu Yun told him something about demon cultivators. Little did they know that under their feet there was also a lurking creature, listening with ears erect. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1433. Yunzhou, Misty Mountain Village. Lord who won't come, will he? The water incarnation narrowed his eyes, he was a little unsure. But after waiting for so long and without any news, they decided not to wait any longer. If you don't want to come, then don't come. Right now, the affairs of Qingping Immortal Kingdom are more important. The Immortal Emperor was a little impatient. Okay, then let's go. The water incarnation took a deep breath, and then said, you all follow closely. For those who don't understand the formation, it's easy to get lost in it. In fact, the demon saints didn't, it was mainly the Immortal Emperor. A group of people, plus 12 demon saints, all carried a lot of immortal crystals on their bodies, and followed the water incarnation closely. The water incarnation had seen through the mist formation and was very fast, but it took several hours to finally reach the teleportation formation. This is it. Looking at the complicated formation patterns in front of him, the water incarnation couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Fellow Daoist, where does this lead to? Bing Leng stood up, seemingly calm on his face, but in fact, his heart was already in turmoil. Because, he recognized this as a teleportation array. These people, plus the 12 demon saints, actually wanted to leave the mortal world through the teleportation array. He was originally a demon cultivator in the spiritual world. Because he was suppressed by the evil cultivators, he had been hiding in the heavens and practicing. He knew nothing about the recent turmoil in the spiritual world and the mortal world. If the Ascension secret realm had not collapsed due to an accident, he would not have woken up to find many evil cultivators in trouble, and he would not have crossed the wild sea and forcibly hid in the mortal world. Go to a wonderful place. The water incarnation raised his eyebrows, but became much more relaxed. He smiled and teased, there is a lot of spiritual power there. Oh. Leng Bing frowned and said, is there any danger? Of course there is danger, but there are no evil cultivators. When you recover your strength there, you must keep your word. Earlier, the water incarnation and Bing Leng had a good chat and reached a consensus to destroy the evil cultivators in the spiritual world. The water incarnation promised him that he could recover his strength. In the mortal world, especially in Yunzhou, a place with poor spiritual energy, it is difficult for Leng Bing to heal his injuries, let alone recover his strength. Otherwise, he would not have been forced to follow Yu Lingshan to join the Spirit Sword sect and do such a helpless move as switching to swordsmanship. Don't worry, fellow Daoist, Leng Bing patted his chest and assured, we, the serious demon cultivators, are also like water and fire with the evil cultivators. Although Leng is not talented, he also knows a lot of old guys. With just one order, they can definitely summon all the demon cultivators in the 9 netherworld. Although the evil cultivators are strong, there are not many of them. When the time comes, fellow Daoists will gather the righteous cultivators in the spirit world. When the righteous and the evil join forces, those evil cultivators will surely not be able to cause any trouble. Leng Bing also told the water incarnation that most evil cultivators are selfish. They fight on their own. If there is no mutual interest, they will even stand by and watch. The water incarnation nodded and said, I believe you. When the time comes, I will need this fellow Daoist to help a little. He pointed his mouth at the Immortal Emperor. The Immortal Emperor looked embarrassed. He didn't know what the Qingping Immortal Kingdom was like now. However, if the righteous and the evil in the spirit world unite, plus the immortals of his Qingping Immortal Kingdom, it is not impossible to fight against the evil cultivators. But they still concealed some information from Leng Bing, such as the origin of Qingping Immortal Country and the immortal crystals they were holding in their hands. Leng Bing was very smart, or any cultivator who had cultivated to the crossing tribulation stage would be perceptive, so he didn't ask. At least for now, he was in the same boat with these people, and he wouldn't make things boring for himself. Okay, it's almost time to start. It's too early to talk about this now. We don't know if we can teleport over yet. Shui Huashan stepped forward, and the other demon saints formed a circle, holding the immortal crystals in their hands. Wait, if this formation lights up, you will quickly enter the formation. If anyone, I say, just in case, if someone doesn't keep up, just wait here quietly. Do you remember? In fact, it is not impossible to return to Lingjian sect along the original route, but Shui Huashan was mainly afraid that they would get lost in this formation. Remember? All the demon saints said in unison, even the immortal emperor and Ji Tianqing had solemn expressions, forcing themselves to suppress the excitement in their hearts. The water incarnation collected his thoughts and used the breaking void spirit eye technique. After looking at all the array eyes, he took the fairy crystals from the demon saints in the corresponding positions one by one, and then put them in one by one. After a while, only one array eye was left. He reminded, "Get ready." After that, he put in the last fairy crystal. Woo! Without wind, the fog around suddenly turned and made a sound of wind. "Come in, quickly," the water incarnation said in a low voice, and the demon saint, the fairy emperor, Leng Bing, and Tu Juyu rushed forward. The array pattern also lit up quickly. And this time, there were more people. When the array wall appeared and completely covered the teleportation array, Meng Wei stayed outside. Wei. The water incarnation suddenly felt tight in his heart and exclaimed. "It's okay," Meng Wei said with a smile, "you guys can go, go back to the Spirit Sword sect." This. Before the water incarnation could say another word, everyone's eyes flashed and they appeared in the void. "I'm afraid Wei will get into trouble." During the transmission, everyone was pulled by the extreme power of the void, and their minds were extremely heavy, but the water incarnation seemed to be unaffected. "In the mortal world, Wei should be okay," Sun Qiniang said with difficulty. "Wei is definitely not an ordinary person." The immortal emperor also spoke up, and he could also feel the difference in Meng Wei. "I hope so." The water incarnation nodded silently, maybe he was too nervous. After an unknown period of time, the pull of the void force gradually became smaller, until this force suddenly disappeared, and everyone saw a flash in front of their eyes, and appeared in a barren land. In their ears, there was the sound of the river churning. A long river full of yellow sand flowed past them not far away. Broken Immortal River. "We are back to Qingping Immortal Kingdom." Ji Tianqing shouted in surprise, "After 10,000 years, I am finally back." A group of demon saints, Leng Bing, Sun Qiniang, Tu Duyu, looked around and carefully felt the abundant spiritual power in the air. No one spoke. Ji Tianqing felt something was wrong and looked at the immortal emperor. Something happened. The immortal emperor spoke, but he was talking to the water incarnation. "The imperial city has changed dramatically. Who else knows about the teleportation array besides the river immortal official?" The water incarnation also looked at the immortal emperor with a serious expression. "Only Dian and Day." The water incarnation pondered, the river immortal official, rebelled. The immortal emperor nodded heavily and looked around. And those who were observing the surroundings also found something wrong, and their eyes fell on these two people. "I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1434. "You should be able to lead the way, right?" the water incarnation said again. "This should be the territory of Day Royal City." The immortal emperor pointed to the broken immortal river. "If I'm not mistaken, the broken immortal river in Day Royal City has these bends." The water incarnation glanced at it indifferently, but he couldn't see anything. But Day Royal City? He didn't know either. But it doesn't matter, as long as the immortal emperor knows. "We shouldn't rush back to the imperial city, we should go to Day Immortal King or Dian Immortal King first." The water incarnation was still relatively cautious. In his opinion, the imperial city would only destroy their teleportation array if it fell into the control of the river immortal official. Otherwise, they would come back along the teleportation array and should appear at the bottom of the immortal emperor's bedroom. "Tianqing," the immortal emperor looked at Ji Tianqing and said, "Calculate where Dian is. To go to Day Royal City, you need to take a detour. By comparison, it's closer to Dian Royal City from here." "Yes, ancestor." Ji Tianqing closed his eyes slightly, and saw that there was a faint golden light on his forehead, and a vague immortal root emerged, madly absorbing the pseudo-immortal power in the air. After a while, Ji Tianqing took out the tortoise shell, grabbed a handful of copper coins and stuffed them in. After a few breaths, the copper coins were poured out, and Xianxia's face was very ugly. Ancestor, Dian Immortal King, is not in the Immortal Kingdom. But it seems that he is under the heavenly way here. The face of the Immortal Emperor changed. Dian has an accident, and those Immortal Kings must have joined forces to rebel. The Water Incarnation said in shock, "What should we do? Dao King City, let's take over Dao King City first. The strength of Dao Immortal King is not strong among the Immortal Kings, and this place is far away from the Imperial City. We can only take it first and make it our foothold, and then we will make long-term plans." In the spiritual world, the Water Incarnation group may not be a big deal. But in Qingping Immortal Country, without the realm suppression, they can exert extremely strong strength. The only problem is that they need to adapt to the environment of the Immortal Country. And Dao King City is obviously a suitable choice. Let's go. In this Qingping Immortal Country, it is better for the Immortal Emperor to make the decision. The Water Incarnation respected his opinion and followed everyone. 2 hours later, they came to Dao King City, but found that it was an empty city. There were no living creatures in the city. The spiritual stones on the street were dug, and the ground was oozing with dried and coagulated blood. Obviously, there was a very tragic battle here. The Immortal Emperor was silent, and his face was very ugly. "Since we are here, we should make the best of it. Let's go in and talk." The Water Incarnation stepped forward to comfort. The Immortal Emperor clenched his fists, and his nails were deeply embedded in his palms. The Water Incarnation and the Immortal Emperor entered the Immortal King's mansion, while the rest of the people were settled in the City Lord's mansion. "Zuyun, tell me, did I do something wrong?" he murmured. "You didn't do anything wrong, it's this heavenly Dao that's wrong." The Water Incarnation raised his head and pointed to the sky, but there was a ceiling above his head. "Is heavenly Dao wrong?" "Heavenly Dao is not wrong, it's the outer demons that are wrong." The Immortal Emperor's eyes suddenly flashed with murderous intent. He only hated his lack of strength. Although he had a top-grade immortal root, he couldn't prove his way to ascend. He didn't have much fighting power in Qingping Immortal Kingdom. "Don't think too much," the Water Incarnation didn't know how to comfort him, and said, "Although we haven't found a passage to enter Qingping Immortal Kingdom freely, at least we can go back and forth to the spirit world, right? As long as the evil cultivators in the spirit world are solved, maybe this problem can be solved. You have to eat one bite at a time and walk one step at a time. Some things can't be rushed." "You're right," the Immortal Emperor breathed a sigh of relief and loosened his fist. He just thought that the Immortal King was rebelling, and most of the Immortals and Immortals in the city disagreed, and then it was a unilateral massacre. "You know, Immortal Kings all have top-grade immortal roots. Rest for a few days, then we'll set off again." The Water Incarnation patted the Immortal Emperor on the shoulder, and then walked out of the Immortal King's palace. "Master, the spiritual power here is really abundant. I just practiced here for a while, and I felt that my realm has improved a lot." As soon as the Water Incarnation went out, he ran into Tu Duyu. "That's good," the Water Incarnation said with a smile, "then you should practice more here in the future." "Practice more is not enough," Tu Duyu shook his head and said, "Master, I know that you and Senior Jilazu are in trouble, and I am willing to do my best." The Water Incarnation raised his eyebrows and agreed, saying, "I am very satisfied that you have such an idea. Well, then you will follow me and fight here, so that you can have a deeper understanding of the magical uses of the spells in the Five Elements Chaos Sutra." Qingping Immortal Kingdom no longer has requirements for realms. Although Tu Duyu's realm is not high, except for the Five Elements Soul Trapping Array, the skills in the Five Elements Chaos Sutra are exactly the same as Zuyun's. Zuyun not only taught him the Chaos Fist, but also taught him the Five Elements Escape Secret. But suddenly, the water incarnation thought of another problem. His four-sided divine beast fist was learned in the four mortal realms. And this Qingping immortal kingdom not only has spiritual power, but also pseudo-immortal power. This is an existence higher than spiritual power. If he were to practice the four-directional divine beast fist here, would he also have unexpected gains? Do you follow me? Shui Huashan's heart moved, and he decided to teach it himself. He called Tu Duyu and followed him to the open space outside the great Tu King city. Master, are you going to teach me the last four fists of Chaos Fist? Hearing Shui Huashan's words, Tu Duyu was extremely excited. Well, it can only be said to be an attempt, Shui Huashan said with a smile, I will not hide it from you. The last four fists are called Four Directions Divine Beast Fist. The first fist is the fusion of the corresponding six fists. Four directions refer to the four directions of East, South, West and North. I learned it in the mortal world of the four directions. I haven't figured out the reason yet. However, we can try it. This is a place that does not belong to the spiritual world or the mortal world. You practice the fist first and let me see it. Shui Huashan said briefly, then stepped aside, and then used the breaking void spirit eye technique to stare at Tu Duyu practicing fists. Tu Duyu was extremely excited, but he also knew that practicing boxing required concentration and calmness. He carefully felt the spiritual energy in the air, practiced the chi refining technique, and after calming his mind, he suddenly punched not far away. All things are awakened. The world is moist. Thunder rises. When he punched the sixth time, the water incarnation also stared at Tu Duyu closely. You know, when he practiced the four directions divine beast fist, it was at this node every 7 punches. At this moment, he even purified the water spiritual power in his body, turned it into immortal power, and used the divine eye technique. The spiritual power was consumed crazily, and Tu Duyu's movements also slowed down. His heart was in his throat. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1435. I saw the excess color applied on my face, suddenly turning red. An extremely mysterious force, glowing with green light and shadow, appeared from Tu Duandu's fist. The water transformed into the atmosphere without even daring to come out. I witnessed the green light taking shape with my own eyes, and a blue dragon jumped out. Qinglong Fist. It's done. Seeing the phantom of the green dragon rising into the sky, the water incarnation shouted, looking much more excited than Tu Duduo. As for Tu Duduo, after this punch, he collapsed to the ground, as if he had exhausted all his spiritual power. Superfluous. The water incarnation rushed forward and helped him up. Master, fortunately you have fulfilled your destiny. This disciple has perfected this four directions divine beast fist. Tu Duduo was very weak, but when he spoke, his face was full of pride. Not bad, you are fine. Shuawa kept praising him, then reached out to touch his wrist and inspected Tu Duduo's physical condition. After a long time, he opened his eyes and his expression gradually solidified. If the excess is applied, the chaotic lotus heart will not appear in the body. And this punch consumed almost all the chaos power in his body. It seems that he has learned it, but in actual combat, he can only use one punch. What is the difference between this and chaos palm? He couldn't help but frown. There are 28 lotus hearts in his body. 4 of them appeared after practicing the four directions divine beast fist. But Tu Duduo has mastered the Qinglong fist, and the Yuanying is still the Yuanying, with no change. Then, what went wrong? He was extremely certain that the four directions divine beast fist was a boxing move deliberately hidden by the 5 elements Xianxian. This shows that the Sifang divine beast fist is extremely powerful, and even he may be afraid of it. Since the spiritual power in the body cannot be changed, is it possible to change it in another way? For example, using the pseudo-immortal power of this world. The water incarnation had a flash of inspiration, and when he was about to rub some excess oil, he found that the other party had already fallen asleep in his arms. This kid. Shuawa smiled helplessly, and then gently placed him on the ground. We don't know what happened here yet, and it's not safe to just leave it here. Let's set up a formation for him. With that said, the water incarnation thought about taking out the spiritual stone array. With 9 spiritual stones, the formation suddenly took shape. But when he pinched the formation formula and prepared to form the formation, he found that the 9 spiritual stones exploded. He quickly dodged the turbulence caused by the explosion of the spirit stone. Fortunately, this was not a self-destruction formation, but just normal turbulence and could not hurt him. But there has never been an accident in the 9 revolutions and 9 yang formation. Why did it happen like this? Could it be that this ground? His heart condensed, and he used his soul to spread to the ground. Immediately, he discovered that there were countless spiritual stones buried under his feet. Every time Yuan Shen scans a range of 1 foot, he can find several spiritual stones. And when the soul completely swept across the open space, he was stunned. This is the star transformation formation. Could it be said that the main body has arrived in the Qingping immortal kingdom? But I can't feel his presence at this time. Shui Huahua was surprised and happy in his heart. The star-moving formation was in Qingping fairyland, but only he could arrange it. And he is here, it is the original body's doing. No wonder the streets have been dug up. Presumably, Daoqing City is not what the immortal emperor guessed. Instead, the main body may have controlled Daoqing City a long time ago, and then dug out the spirit stones to form an array, and then faced strong enemy. This is really good news. The water incarnation was overjoyed, and originally wanted Duduo to rest on the spot, but now that he thought of the news about his true form, he directly picked him up and flew towards the immortal king's mansion. After a while. What did you say? This city is related to your body. The immortal emperor stared with disbelief on his face. If so, wasn't he suffering for nothing before? Ha ha ha. Great, what are your plans now? The immortal emperor put aside this weird idea and laughed wildly. There's no rush, said the water incarnation with a smile, since this is the original body, let's not be too anxious. You stay here for the time being, practice when you need to practice, and rest when you need to. I'll go find the original body. As long as I get there within a certain distance, I can naturally feel the existence of the body. I'm afraid it's inappropriate for you to go alone. I think it's better if you bring someone else with you. For example, how about Leng Bing? Cold. Shui Huahua was stunned. He thought about taking Sun Qiniang, and thought about taking the other demon saints, but he never considered taking Leng Bing. In the Qingping immortal kingdom, the spiritual monks in the tribulation period posed a great threat to him. Even if there is a 1 in 10,000 possibility, the water incarnation does not want to take risks. What are you afraid of? The immortal emperor said with a smile, since your body is also in the immortal kingdom, even if this incarnation dies, so what? It's better than having Leng Bing lurking around you all the time. The water incarnation understands that this is also a test of Leng Bing. In this unrestricted place, try the cold truth and falsehood. Okay, then I will take him away with Leng Bing, so that you can feel more at ease here. When saying this, water incarnation couldn't help but think of Duduo. If Leng Bing really has different intentions, his precious apprentice will be in danger. Shall we go first? The incarnation of water found Leng Bing and told him to take the first step. The two of them walked together, but Leng Bing just felt a little strange. Yes, let's go first. There is no one here. Let's go to other royal cities to find out. Leng Bing was a little reluctant, but still stood up. Originally, he wanted to practice and recover here. There is not only pure spiritual power in the air, but also a hint of demonic energy. It doesn't have much demonic energy, but it has an excellent effect on him. Now, his strength has recovered to about 50%. Okay, let's take a look. Leng Bing agreed, and maybe he could find a place with more demonic energy. In this way, he can regain his strength as soon as possible. In this strange place, without strength, it is indeed a bit uneasy. Then let's go. The two of them jumped into the air and flew towards due north. After flying hundreds of miles, Leng Bing suddenly stopped. How? Water Avatar's heart tightened, and he unconsciously accumulated strength in his heart. Look there. Leng Bing pointed to the ground and saw a huge ravine stretching out from an open space among the trees. The ravine is so deep that you can't see the bottom. There should have been an extremely fierce battle here. Leng Bing squinted his eyes and analyzed. The ground is full of sawdust, which shows that the strength of the battle instantly turned these trees into pieces. It should have been done in an instant. This crack in the ground was even caused by this. Hearing this, Shui Jianyuan couldn't help but look at it. There was always a mysterious feeling in his heart, guiding him to go down and take a look. After thinking for a moment, the water incarnation decided to land, but as soon as he moved, he was suddenly pulled by Leng Bing. Friends, don't be anxious. Look over there, there is a royal city. And I, under the cracks in the ground, seem to feel a little bit of evil energy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1436. Leng Bing's words shocked the water incarnation. Zhu Yun's body, because of the snake demon, used sawdust and the demon body to completely cover his aura, so that the water incarnation could not sense the existence of the body at all. Similarly, the main body's attention has been on Jogun, and no water incarnation was found. After hearing the cold reminder, the water incarnation temporarily put aside the purpose of coming to find the main body. Are you sure? He stared at Leng Bing, trying to see some clues from Leng Bing's expression. Blessings to fellow Taoist, Leng asked with an indifferent expression. Leng is also a demon cultivator in the tribulation period. Although he is injured, his induction of demonic energy is unmistakable. Such affirmative words made Shuawa's heart condense. He said, then can you confirm the location? Leng Bing shook his head and said, I only know that I can't find the specific location in this crack in the ground. The master of demonic energy is very capable of hiding. Maybe when I am at my peak, I can sure. In that case. The water incarnation thought for a moment and said, then let's talk about it when we go down. Logically speaking, all the magical beasts in Qingping Fairy Kingdom are hiding in the Duanxian River. Coupled with the traces of fighting here, everything is too abnormal. The incarnation of water plans to enter the cracks in the ground with Leng Bing, and then use the void-breaking spiritual eye technique to search carefully. In the unlikely event that this monster once had contact with Xiaolu, it would be good news for him. Xiaolu has been lurking in the royal city, and now he doesn't know what happened. It's up to you. Leng Bing knew that Shuajia did not completely trust him and that it would take time, so he was not dissatisfied with Shuajia's decision. He has a very clear understanding of his position. If you want to return to the top and regain the hope of ascension, you can only stand on the same front as the water incarnation. After the two landed, the water transformed and said, fellow Daoist Leng, you and I are walking side by side. You try to sense the direction. Since the Lord of Demonic Qi was very capable of hiding, he used the void-breaking spiritual eye technique to see. However, there were many stone ridges in the cracks in the ground that could block his sight, so he could only let Leng Bing cooperate. Happy to oblige. Leng Bing smiled slightly and followed the water incarnation to slowly fly down the crack. After paralleling, he closed his eyes and carefully sensed the source of the demonic energy. There. Go over there. A little further down. Leng Bing spared no effort and kept stretching out his hand to guide the direction of the water incarnation. Little did they know, they gradually approached the direction of the Snake Demon group's net. The Snake Demon King has already been keeping an eye on the two of them. In the darkness, although his sight was limited, due to his natural instinct, he could accurately see the faint heat radiating from the two of them. Seeing that the two of them might find out where they were, the Snake Demon King suddenly jumped out from a corner, opened his big mouth, and bit Leng Bing. Although Leng Bing closed his eyes, he was sure that Leng Bing was leading the way and approaching them. Call out. There was a sound of breaking through the air, and the Snake Demon King came like a giant arrow from a string. Leng Bing felt a chill in her heart and exclaimed, "Be careful." After the words fell, he quickly stepped aside, but the water incarnation was too late and could only block it. Water shield. He quickly condensed the water spiritual power in his body and formed a water curtain in front of him. Click. The Snake Demon King slammed into him. Although he was powerful, his realm was not enough after all. His whole face was pressed against the water curtain, and he saw the face of the water incarnation. Suddenly, his face was filled with disbelief, and his eyes as big as copper bells were full of horror. This person actually looks exactly like the owner? Compared with the shock of the Snake Demon King, the water incarnation is also the same. According to his memory, shouldn't all the monsters in Qingping Fairy Kingdom have red eyes and be completely demented? The sudden sneak attack by the Snake Demon King has shown that his intelligence is extremely normal. No matter, let's blast him away first. The water incarnation's heart moved, and he suddenly slapped a palm through the water curtain. Boom! This palm directly knocked the Snake Demon King away. The loud noise echoed in the cracks in the ground, waking Zuyun up. Water spiritual power, my water incarnation. He was stunned for a moment, then was ecstatic, and immediately his soul rushed over, and he was instantly connected to the water incarnation. The memories of the original body and the transformed spirit gradually merged together, and Zuyun learned more news. Ha ha ha, that's it, I understand. He laughed wildly, and the water incarnation also turned into a light and shadow, and suddenly jumped into Zuyun's body. At this moment, Zuyun no longer has an incarnation outside his body, and he has returned to his peak state. But the Snake Demon King was not so good. He was hit hard by the water incarnation and was seriously injured. Sorry. Zuyun's eyes narrowed, and he quickly took out the snake head pillar and placed it next to the Snake Demon King. Master, that is. The Snake Demon King Xiang said in one breath. That's my incarnation. We were separated before I met you in Duxian town, so he doesn't have you in his memory. Zuyun was slightly apologetic and said, take good care of your injuries and leave this to me. Looking at Zhou Gun again, Zuyun quickly spread his spirit, he wanted to find Leng Bing. Through the memory of the water incarnation, he also learned about Leng Bing and learned that the situation in the spirit world was not too good. Evil cultivators appeared. In addition, he fought with the great delusion fairy king Luo Dongcheng, which made him more afraid of evil cultivators. Various evil magics and magical powers emerged in an endless stream, which were difficult to deal with common sense. If it weren't for his better luck, I'm afraid he would have been defeated by Luo Dongcheng this time. However, where did the evil energy below come from? Zuyun spread his soul and searched the surrounding area completely, but he didn't find Leng Bing, and he couldn't help but frowned. Could it be that the demon beast controlled Leng Bing? It's impossible. Leng Bing is at least in the tribulation period. Even if his strength is not good now, it shouldn't be like this. Leng Bing is very useful. Zuyun thought for a moment and decided to let a group of snake monsters go down to the cracks in the ground to find him. Previously, the location of the demon beast could be roughly determined. As long as the snake monsters go down along the cracks in the ground, they might be able to find some clues. You can remove this net now. Go down and find the other person who came with my incarnation. Under Zuyun's command, the snake demons untied their bodies, and the wood chips piled on top fell down. Zuyun didn't even blink, but used the divine eye technique to scan the bottom. Finally, when his head turned to a certain point below, an inconspicuous black gas suddenly flashed by. There. Zuyun's heart condensed, and just as he was about to chase down to find out, the crack in the ground suddenly began to vibrate. The vibration came from top to bottom, and Zuyun's face changed. Not good, someone from the void refining stage has returned. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1437. Originally, after the water incarnation came back, he brought so much news, which made him extremely happy. But at this time, the sudden arrival of the refining void stage made him feel heavy. There are strong enemies above and secrets below. For a moment, Zuyun was unable to make a perfect decision. It seems, there is only one. When a soul swept across his body, Zuyun finally breathed a sigh of relief. His eyes were still using the divine eye technique, and he quickly looked in the direction where the other party's soul was coming. Just one glance, he confirmed the person. Then, he withdrew the divine eye technique to slow down the consumption of the chaotic force in his body. There is such a mysterious thing here. Zuyun boy, why are you hiding here? A suppressed excited voice sounded, and when this was said, Zuyun couldn't help but guess in his heart, could it be that the other party didn't know that Luo Dongchen was dead? His eyes rolled, and he immediately said, Lord Luo found this treasure in the crack of the ground, but he couldn't take it away, so he went back to the city to find a magic weapon, so I have to watch it here. Oh! The sect master is back in the city. The Xianxia period was skeptical and didn't come down rashly. Of course, why would I lie to you? I'm only in the Huashan period, and you're in the Xianxia period. I don't want to die. Zuyun deliberately showed weakness to paralyze the other party. Can't you take that thing out? The snake head pillar was emitting the power of destiny, shining on the body of the snake demon king, recovering his injuries. The power of destiny is also beyond the existence of spiritual power, and it is even better than the pseudo-immortal power. This allows the Xianxia period who has lived in Qingping immortal country for thousands of years to be more or less aware of it. I can't take it out. This golden light, I dare not touch it. If I disturb the snake demon, I'm afraid of accidents. Zuyun shook his head repeatedly, just wanting to trick the Xianxia period down. This way he would have the opportunity to attack. His chaos palm was enough to deal with the void refining stage. And in such a small range, he was fully confident that he could kill this void refining stage with one blow. But this void refining stage was too cautious. Instead of coming down, he said to Zuyun, you come up first, let's think about it carefully. If we can find a way, it would be the best. If not, we will wait for Sect Master Luo to come back. Zuyun was naturally unwilling to go up. He pretended to hesitate and said, Senior, this is not good. Before Sect Master Luo left, he specifically emphasized that I should stay here. Otherwise, you should come down. No, there seems to be a lot of inexplicable power turbulence below. If something unexpected happens, wouldn't I lose? Hearing this, Zuyun's heart tightened immediately. He could actually find it? To be honest, in addition to the original spiritual power and pseudo-immortal power, there is also the power of destiny, demon power, and the demonic energy on the demon beast and Leng Bing. It seems that this void refining stage has some skills. Thinking that he would not come down, Zuyun pondered for a moment and said, "By the way, Senior, Sect Master Lugo asked you to check the situation on the other side. 9 seniors went, but you are the only one who came back. Some accidents happened over there, so I came back to find City Master Lugo." Zuyun, "Since the City Master asked you to watch here, then you watch it? I will go back to the Great Delusion King City to see first." After that, Zuyun could not feel the other party's breath. Could it be that he went back? Zuyun thought in his heart, but he could not be sure. Luo Dongcheng is a cunning old man, and his subordinates must not be bad. Still have to be more careful, maybe the other party is hiding and watching. Luo Dongcheng is an evil cultivator, and these refining void stages may have learned some of his evil methods, otherwise, why would they be so loyal? At the same time, this refining void stage landed quietly, withdrew his breath, and lay down at the entrance of the cave. "This kid is so cunning, do you really think I will believe him? There is another immortal who is healing down there, he, I want to see what you are up to." He was not panicking. If what Zuyun said was true, it would not matter if Luo Dongcheng came back from the Great Delusion City and saw him. But if Luo Dongcheng died, perhaps it would be a better result for him. Although Zuyun had many tricks and was cunning, he knew that as long as he did not use soul magic, he would not be injured by the other party's hammer. One ran away. Iargo panted heavily, his face was extremely cold. Looking at the direction he ran, it seems that he did not run to the Great Delusion City. On the side, Yu Changkong squinted his eyes. He was already seriously injured, but fortunately he could still stand. However, with 8 immortals dead, it should be able to help the master out, right? There was so much noise over the trees before, it's almost time to go over. A middle-aged man with an ugly appearance also had a cold voice. "This is the Spirit Stone Demon Dragon King in human form." Originally, their overall strength was weaker than the 9 void refining stages. But the Immortals of Dao King City, after spending tens of thousands of spirit stones and demon dragons, finally killed 8 void refining stages. Among them, Ergu riding Xiaohuo played a great role. Ergu's own strength was not an advantage. But Xiaohuo was a demon saint, and with the spirit knife in Ergu's hand, he could occasionally sneak attack, which was not fatal, but also had a miraculous effect. "Let's go, if we can escape, we can escape. Our goal is to rescue Xiaozu." Ergu made a decision, and everyone rushed towards the woods. Zuyun didn't dare to breathe. Although he stared at the snake-head pillar, his attention was on the top of the crack, and he had to pay attention to the bottom from time to time. As long as there was news from the snake demons, he would have to temporarily give up guarding here and find Lengbing no matter what. It was too strange for a demon cultivator in the tribulation period to disappear. After a while, there was a sound of fighting below, the crack began to vibrate, and gravel fell from both sides from time to time. In the dim, the sound of snakes could be heard, and it was obvious that a snake demon had discovered the situation. "If I go down, the void refining period will come down again." Zuyun's heart was immediately tangled, afraid of wolves in front and tigers behind. But soon, he thought of a win-win situation. While the snake-head pillar was still emitting the power of destiny, maybe he could fight once. Even if the other party was on top, he didn't use his soul to lock himself, which meant that he didn't know the situation here. In this way, there was an opportunity to take advantage of. If it wasn't difficult to set up formations on the cliff, he wouldn't be so embarrassed. It seems that when I have time in the future, I have to try to set up formations on this cliff. It will inevitably be useful in the future. Looking at Jogun and the Snake Demon King, Zuyun jumped down in the direction of the sound. There was the sound of wind, mixed with the sound of snakes and some fighting. He quietly used the Divine Eye technique and looked under his feet. Suddenly, he found a black light curtain hidden in the darkness. And he was falling into the light curtain. Not good. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1438. The light curtain is invisible under the divine eye technique, and there is black power flowing on it, which is undoubtedly the magic power of the Warcraft. In other words, this monster can use formations. It's incredible. Seeing the magic flow above, there are certain rules, Zuyun is extremely sure. You're here, let's see what this monster is capable of. Zuyun's eyes narrowed, and he simply withdrew the divine eye technique. He only felt that his body was swept by a cold and strange force, and he was already standing on the solid ground. I can't see my fingers, as if I'm in a completely new world. Feng Tian. Zuyun shouted low, and Feng Tianyan jumped out from his forearm. Although the fire light was very weak, it illuminated the whole body and allowed Zuyun to see a lot clearly. After listening carefully again and confirming the source of the sound, he felt happy again. There was a cold shout. However, his expression hardened again, and Lengbing seemed to be injured again. There. Zuyun stepped forward with the immortality art on his feet, and instead of using the power of chaos to control him, he took advantage of the brightness brought by burning sky flame and ran towards the front. The sounds in my ears are getting louder and louder. Finally, Zuyun saw Lengbing. However, I didn't see the snake demon. After a slight change of mind, Zuyun understood. Presumably the snake demon just discovered the formation here, so it attacked outside the formation, thus creating a noise for itself to hear. The reason why Lengbing suddenly had no news was that he was trapped in this formation, entangled and fighting with the monster. Friend Leng, I'm here. Zuyun roared angrily, and at the same time injected chaos power into his feet, and his speed suddenly increased. You're finally here, I can hardly hold it anymore. The demon cultivator who had overcome the tribulation in a dignified manner was actually crying at this time. One can imagine what kind of torture Lengbing suffered. But it also shows how powerful this monster is. Chaos Palm. Zuyun didn't waste any time and slapped it with his palm. The grey power broke through the darkness, and Zuyun immediately saw the outline of a figure as big as a dog. Squeak. Warcraft also seemed to feel that the power of Chaos Palm would hurt him, so he immediately gave up the fight with Lengbing and immediately stepped aside. After avoiding Zuyun's palm, he kicked his calf and moved towards Zuyun with his teeth and claws bared. Pounced over. The fangs glowed with a cold light, as if they could tear off Zuyun's flesh directly. Court death. Zuyun snorted coldly and punched out. Be careful, fellow Taoist, this beast is very evil, and its teeth will release evil energy. When Lengbing saw this, he immediately reminded him. But Zuyun had not figured out the method of this monster, so naturally he would not attack head-on. This punch was the Suanwu fist that he had never used. The Suanwu shadow suddenly took shape in front of Zuyun, and as a cold reminder, several dazzling white lights shot out from the fangs of the monster. Call out! Call out! Call out! But Zuyun was well prepared. The white light hitting the Suanwu shadow could not cause any effective damage at all. Now, it's my turn. Zuyun sneered and clapped out again with his other hand. Chaos Palm. Another move of Chaos Palm. At such a close distance, the monster is charging towards you again, how can you avoid it? Bang. The huge grey-white palm force directly knocked down the monster and suppressed it severely. While the power of chaos was not dissipated, Zuyun raised his hand, and Feng Tianyan, who followed him, also rushed forward, and the flames quickly jumped up the body of the monster. A burning smell filled the air, and the monsters screamed in agony. Friend Leng, what are the weaknesses of this monster? Seeing that the monster couldn't make any trouble for a while, Zuyun immediately asked, Lengbing must have been able to tell something after fighting with him for so long. I've only fought him twice, and I don't understand him at all. I don't know either. If I knew, How could I still be so miserable? Leng Bing was also helpless, panting and walked forward, observing the monster carefully. In that case, then I can only give it a try. Against monsters, thunder spirit power is extremely restrained. But there are many types of thunder. There is still a big difference between the thunder spiritual power produced by Tianlei and Zhu Yunning. However, there was no other way at the moment. Zhu Yun gave a low drink and his body shook. The chaos power in his body immediately began to flow, transforming into thunder spirit power and condensing towards his arm. After a moment, he suddenly held out two fingers, and a series of thunder snakes continued to wrap around and jump on his arm. Let the sword energy out. He thrust out his finger, and a thunder sword energy as thick as his waist was pointed at the neck of the monster. But at this time, a sudden change occurred. The monster suddenly screamed, and its mouth full of sharp fangs suddenly blurted out, like thousands of hidden weapons, not only facing the thunder and sword energy, but also some of them attacked Zhu Yun's face. Careful! Leng Bing exclaimed. How could he expect that this monster would have a backup, and he wanted to give a helping hand, but he was unable to do anything. But suddenly, he saw an incredible scene. Zhu Yun's figure also turned into a bolt of lightning and disappeared from the place. Bang! 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 Behind him, there was a muffled sound, and the black light curtain shook, and several holes were directly blasted out by the sharp teeth. Outside the formation, various forces surged in, impacting the black light curtain formation wall. At this time, Zhu Yun also appeared from a distance, with lingering fear. Fortunately, he had the thunder escape technique, and at this critical moment, he turned his body into lightning and escaped. Otherwise, he would not have had time to use teleportation at that time. What kind of monster was the offspring of the extraterritorial demon and the monster of which clan? Zhu Yun was slightly distracted, but suddenly felt a sense of crisis. While there was still thunder spirit power in his body, he used the thunder escape technique again. The black light was the monster that suddenly escaped from the suppression of the chaos palm and the burning sky flame. Looking carefully, I saw that the monster had no hair on its body, and it actually abandoned its outer body. The black meat on its body was squirming, and even the blood vessels were black, which looked extremely disgusting. Zhu Yun did not have time to look more, and the monster opened its mouth again. This time it had no teeth to shoot, but it spit out a black light. The black light was extremely fast and attacked Zhu Yun's face. At the same time, the broken layers of the array walls gradually rushed towards the monster, and turned into pure magic energy for it to use. Under this situation, the black light suddenly increased, from the size of a fist to the size of a head. Fellow Daists Zhu, hold on, I will refine these magic energy. At this time, a cold exclamation suddenly came from his ears. Zhu Yun was slightly stunned. You have a good plan. This monster is coming fiercely. How can I hold on? Zhu Yun's figure flashed and used the thunder escape technique again. At the same time, his mind was spinning rapidly, thinking about countermeasures. This monster does not show any characteristics of the 12 tribes of monsters. Perhaps this will be a real extraterritorial demon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1439. Apart from this, Zhu Yun could not think of any other possibilities. But doesn't it mean that it is difficult for extraterrestrial demons to survive in Qingping Fairy Kingdom? Moreover, even if he survived, he would not be able to return to the fairy world. Zhu Yun couldn't figure out the key, but there was nothing to think about at this time. The only solution now is to find a way to kill this extraterrestrial demon. What Leng Bing said is indeed the only way to deal with it at the moment. He absorbs and refines the demonic energy of the extraterrestrial demon, and then works together to kill it. So, can I stop it? Zuyun gritted his teeth and drew an earth wall talisman while retreating. He didn't know how long it would take Leng Bing. Only the earth wall talisman could last the longest time with the least amount of spiritual power. Earth walls appeared out of thin air in the cracks in the ground. But whether it was Zuyun, Leng Bing, or Warcraft, they all ignored one thing. When this formation is completely broken, they will have nothing to rely on and will fall downwards. Boom. 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 After the black light of the Warcraft shattered several earth walls one after another, Zuyun fell unpreparedly towards the bottom of the crack in the ground. Not only him, but also Warcraft and Leng Bing. Not good. Zuyun exclaimed, subconsciously wanting to float in the air, but suddenly stopped this idea. Didn't you just escape the attack of the black light while you were falling? In my ears, there was the sound of whistling wind, mixed with the sound of some snakes. Quick, attack him. An idea flashed in Zuyun's mind, and he immediately ordered the snake demons who were originally besieging the shady formation. With such strong support, why not use it? It's so timely. When the snake demons heard Zuyun's voice, they jumped out without hesitation, opened their bloody mouths, and attacked the monster. The monster was barely able to float, and all his strength was on the black light. He had no time to react to the snake demon that jumped out of the darkness. Woo! The monster let out a strange scream, obviously it was bitten by a snake demon. Zuyun was overjoyed and quickly steadied his body, then used the divine eye technique to look in the direction of the sound. The original form of the Warcraft immediately appeared in his eyes. This is a monster the size of a dog, but it has 2 wings on its back, a green face, fangs, and an underturned tail at the end. There is no trace of the characteristics of the Destiny Demon clan at all. It seems that it is undoubtedly a world of Warcraft. Bless you, fellow Taoist, don't kill him. This beast will help me recover. Just when Zuyun's murderous intention was about to start, Leng Bing suddenly stopped refining the demonic energy and shouted urgently to Zuyun. Will it help you practice? He was stunned for a moment, calculating the benefits. From the current point of view, if Leng Bing regains his strength, in terms of the tribulation period, whether he is currently in the Qingping Immortal Kingdom, or in the long run, contacting the demonic monks in the spiritual world to deal with evil cultivators will be of great use. But the question is, how to control this monster? Friend Deist Leng, you have to know that we don't understand this monster at all. If we let him escape, it may cause a catastrophe. Of course I know, Leng Bing said sternly, I have a way to control the beast, which can completely control this monster. I wish you, fellow Taoist, to rest assured. Zuyun narrowed his eyes and said, really? You and I are friends of life and death, Leng Bing said with certainty, I don't need to lie to you. This Qingping fairyland is full of weirdness. In the future, if there is a monster like this, it can also help me when I return to the spirit world. A fight. Zuyun thought for a moment and said, okay, then I will protect you first and you will surrender this monster. Thank you so much, fellow Taoist Zhu, I cannot thank you enough. Leng Bing was ecstatic and quickly flew in front of the monster. Zuyun saw Leng Bing's body trembling, as if he had obtained some destiny treasure. He couldn't help but murmured that the demonic cultivation techniques came from the improvements of the demons in the fairy world and adapted to human cultivation. So, do these extraterrestrial demons have anything to do with the demons in the fairy world? As far as the information he has received so far, there is no way to confirm it. In such a short time, Leng Bing had already used the method of controlling the beast, and his eyebrows turned black, condensing into the spirit of the devil. This gas was like an ice cone, slowly flying towards the monster. After receiving Zuyun's order, the snake demon did not continue to bite. Instead, it coiled its body and wrapped tightly around the monster. The monster seemed to have felt the terror of this black ice cone, and struggled even more fiercely. The hook at its tail raised pieces of snake scales, but the snake demon regarded the Zuyun number as its destiny, and did not let go even if it was dripping with blood. A trace. Taking advantage of his body and clinging to the monster, Zuyun couldn't help but feel pain in his heart. If all the monsters from the 12 tribes can do this, even if there are countless evil cultivators in the spiritual world, he is confident that he can defeat them. Finally, the black ice pick accurately pierced the forehead of the monster. Woo! There was another scream, revealing a plea, and even Zuyun heard it. But Leng Bing remained unmoved, and instead his eyes became even more crazy. Zuyun watched from the side as the ice pick sank in little by little. When the tail of the ice pick disappeared, Leng Bing and Warcraft trembled almost at the same time. Their eyes were closed, and they immediately lost consciousness. This scene made Zuyun a little confused. Leng Bing's body began to fall, and Zuyun quickly went over to pick him up and placed him on a snake demon. You, find a flat place to put them together, and then pay attention to see if there is any abnormal movement. Zuyun couldn't see what would happen next, so he planned to put them farther away so as not to affect the snake demon king and Jogun who were healing above. Hiss, hiss. A group of snake demons nodded their huge heads, and they all understood what Zuyun meant. Zuyun's face was filled with relief, and he added, "If anyone else is injured, please come up with me. There is a totem pole that can help you heal your injuries." Several snake demons took the initiative to raise their heads and kept rising and falling towards Zuyun. Zuyun smiled and flew towards the previous place. If Leng Bing can really subdue this monster, he will definitely come back on his own. If it fails, at least this monster won't be able to counterattack in the first place. He also had his own thoughts. In this case, the benefits brought by cold surrender would be greater. After returning to the starting point with a few snake monsters, Jogun just woke up. How does it feel? Zuyun looked happy. Fortunately, Yesuan Hua refined several pseudo-elixirs, otherwise he really didn't know what to do. Although Qingping Immortal Kingdom is also in the universe world, some of its methods are also greatly restricted. Feels good. Joguan patted his chest and made a loud banging sound. Master, after this battle, I seem to become much stronger again. Oh? How did you become stronger? Immortals have no realm. Since Jogun feels this way, it means that he may have some understanding of marksmanship. Master, be careful. At this time, Joguan suddenly exclaimed, a spear suddenly appeared in his hand, and stabbed directly upward. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1440. The gun shot out like a dragon. The golden light tore through the darkness in the crack, and a figure suddenly dodged, with spiritual power surging. It was a person in the refining void stage. There was no doubt that it was Luo Dongqing's men. Boy, you actually hid someone here. This refining void stage heard the various forces surging from under the crack, and couldn't hold back, so he quietly touched down. Unexpectedly, he was discovered by Jogun who had recovered. What's the point of hiding people? Zuyun smiled frivolously. Now there was only one opponent. He had Jogun who had returned to his peak, so he was not afraid at all. Jogun, kill him. When Zuyun roared, Jogun had already bullied him. He exerted a little force with his legs and kicked out on the platform. He danced with a long spear in his hand, stirring the pseudo-immortal power here. Immortals can't fly. In our eyes, they are just trash. Looking at the spear immortal root on Jogun's forehead, the refining void stage was not afraid at all. With a flash, he blasted towards Zuyun. Really? Zuyun also teleported immediately, but when his figure disappeared, he left behind a mocking smile. Where else can you run to? The refining void stage has a high realm, and the space here is narrow. As long as he kills Zuyun first, it will be no problem to deal with Zhou Gun. Unexpectedly, Zhou Gun missed a shot, turned over and stood directly on the gun barrel. This is the flying of flying tools that the spiritual world cultivators who have reached the 6th level of Qi refining can do. As long as you master the principle, with Zhou Gun's ability, it is extremely simple. What? Because of carelessness, the pupils of the refining void stage shrank suddenly. Zhou Gun not only stepped on the spear, but also pointed the spear at him, and the aura completely locked him. Even if he teleported, unless he escaped thousands of miles away. Comparing the consumption of physical strength, the cultivator will not be the opponent of the immortal. The cultivator needs to rely on the spiritual power in the body, while the immortal can control the pseudo-immortal power between heaven and earth at any time. More importantly, this spear is a pseudo-immortal weapon, which is completely beyond the existence of a spiritual weapon. Run. Xianxia made a prompt decision. How could he dare to chase Zuyun? Even if he caught up and killed Zuyun, at that moment, he would be stabbed through by the spear. Zuyun's figure appeared from not far away, and immediately caught a trace of expression on Xianxia's face, and immediately guessed what he was thinking. Want to escape? Too late. His eyebrows tightened, and he quickly flew towards the surface. At the same time, he stretched out his hand as a pen and drew a spiritual talisman. Ice Tornado. The tornado was from bottom to top, not used to attack Xianxia, but blowing out a piece of open space above the crack in the ground. The ground was full of wood chips, affecting his formation. Zuyun took the lead, and stepped out of the crack in the ground before Xianxia at a very fast speed. As soon as his feet landed, he took out a handful of top-grade spiritual stones. 9 turn 9 yang formation. Although the formation of the spirit beads is powerful, it is not as good as the spirit stones in other aspects. And the formation set up by the top-grade spirit stones can easily trap a person in the refining void stage. The formation quickly took shape, and Zuyun specially opened the gate of the formation and aimed at the crack. 2 black shadows, 1 black and 1 gold, went straight into it. Close the door and beat the dog. Zuyun smiled casually, pinched the formation formula, and shouted at the same time, Zhou Gun, leave it to you. He, just in time to try my tricks. The voice came, and the gate of the formation was just closed. Zuyun's hands changed, and the 9 transformations and 9 yangs formation was completely turned into a trapping formation. If only one person in the refining void stage is trapped, it will not be of much use, and the opponent can completely break it by force. But in the same way, just like dealing with Zuyun in the crack of the ground, when he breaks the formation, his back will be left to Zhou Gun. When he breaks the formation, it will be his death. Instead, it is better to deal with it in the formation and look for a chance to survive. And this is also completely under Zuyun's control. He can control the 9 turns in the formation when he is outside the formation, so as to help Zhou Gun. If he also enters the formation, it is hard to guarantee that the other party will not be destroyed and both sides will be injured. Boom. 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 There was a boom in the formation. Knowing that he could not escape, the refining period finally fought with Zhou Gun. Zhou Gun was at least a general under the command of the great wrong immortal king. In addition, after following Zuyun, he opened his eyes in the world of the universe, and his means were no longer limited to ordinary gunfire. He also comprehended a set of gun skills that belonged to him. Zhou Gun called it the questioning heaven gun art. Every gun went straight to the dragon, and the unarmed refining period could only rely on various mysterious spells to deal with it. Even if he could hit Zhou Gun, it would not cause much damage. On the contrary, Zhou Gun's gun would at least cause serious injuries. Invisibly, he fell behind. Not to mention, there was Zuyun outside the formation controlling the formation, and he would attack him from time to time. After fighting for half an hour, the refining void stage gradually became exhausted, but Jogun became more and more courageous. In the words of the spirit world, Jogun is a spear cultivator, just like a sword cultivator, the skills he uses must be honed in fighting. Jogun had sparred in the universe world, but he had never had such a life and death fight. Seeing that the refining void stage gradually fell behind, he actually felt a little reluctant. What a good opponent! However, he could still distinguish the importance, and when the time was right, he stabbed him in the heart with a gun. My life is over. A miserable cry came, and the refining void stage knelt on the ground with reluctance, and died with his eyes open. The formation dissipated, and Jogun looked at Zuyun. Master, I have fulfilled my mission. Zuyun laughed and said, yes, but it took a little longer. Jogun scratched his head, a little embarrassed. This is my first time fighting a life and death battle with a cultivator from the spiritual world, I'm still a little uncomfortable. Zuyun put away his smile, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. It's just that I won't help you with the formation every time. Jogun, the cultivation system of immortals and cultivators is different. If you go to the spiritual world in the future, I'm afraid you won't have the advantage of pseudo-immortal power, so. Jogun stood up and said, I know, if I can, I plan to prove my way with a gun. Zhu Fu's eyes sparkled. He did have this idea, but it was not appropriate to bring it up himself. Unexpectedly, Jogun said it himself. This is not bad. It's great that you have such an idea. Do you still remember the mayor of Duxian town? Mayor Wan. Jogun was stunned. Of course he remembered, and he remembered that the other party was a pen fairy route. That's right, Zuyun said with a smile, he proved his Dao with a sword, and it seems that, he went to the fairyland. This was half true and half false, and Zuyun did not hide it intentionally, but wanted to use it to motivate Jogun. Sure enough, Jogun's chest immediately rose and fell, and he was extremely excited. Zuyun immediately made him firm up his hesitation. He can prove his Dao with a sword with his pen fairy route, so if I can't prove my Dao with a gun with my top grade gun fairy route, wouldn't it be a laughing stock? Zuyun laughed, patted Jogun on the shoulder, and said, I'm optimistic about you. But, I need you to do something right now.